While summer is the season for Mike Watson's favorite sport, Memphis Magazine's Vance Lauderdale prefers beating the heat by sitting on a block of ice, sipping a cold Kentucky nip. He takes us back to the days before air conditioning was common, when Memphians spent the good old summertime hitting the pools, most of which are now long gone.
During these dreadful Memphis summers, the Lauderdales didn't really mind the heat because we had our own special escape from it, a basement swimming pool. While everyone else in town was sweating and steaming, we would clamber downstairs to Lauderdale Lake, as we called it. Oh, I still have such wonderful memories of lying on a picnic blanket by the coal bin and roasting hot dogs in the furnace. And sunburn? Never a concern, since the only source of light was the 40-watt bulb over the stairs. All those good times came to an end, though, when the utility company came knocking at our door one day and complained that the water source for our pool was actually a broken sewer line which had flooded our home. They fixed the leak, drained our pool, and then had the gall to charge us for the water we had used. With our lake gone, we were forced to resort to other measures to escape the Memphis heat. One thing you could do back in the 1940s and 50s was simply head downtown and go shopping or catch a movie. Department stores like Goldsmiths and Lowenstein's and big theaters like the Malco and Lowe's had added a newfangled invention called air conditioning. And they used that gimmick to draw in the crowds since most people didn't have it in their homes. Newspaper ads often had icicles hanging from the names of the theaters to show you how chilly it was inside. And hotels and even bowling alleys bragged about their AC. Then there were the summertime resorts. In the 1930s, two huge swimming pools opened on Lamar, Clear Pool and Rainbow Lake, both eventually owned by the same family, the Piricinis, whose name I've mentioned before because they also operated Skateland. Rainbow Lake had a skating rink, one of the best and biggest in town. But during the dog days of summer, it was the pools at Rainbow and Clear Pool that were the main attractions, with their gleaming white sand beaches, high dives, wading areas for the kiddies, and all sorts of other enticements. Clear Pool, especially, was where the Lauderdales liked to hang out, and I confess it was one of the few places in town where I felt comfortable showing off my godlike physique. The city also got into the act, building the municipal swimming pool at the fairgrounds. This was an enormous oval pool, also with sand beaches. All Out When Bell Rings was painted on the big sign above the dressing rooms, and when that gong sounded, your pool time was up. For the families who couldn't or wouldn't pay the admission to Clear Pool or Rainbow Lake, the Wolf River and Nonconnah Creek provided cheaper places to swim, but they were not without hazards. In 1954, a little boy named Ronnie Jones drowned in the Wolf River. Citizens were outraged that kids like Ronnie had no free place to swim, so they raised money to build Geisman Park Pool on Macon Road. An impressive tribute to Ronnie still stands by the entrance. Other swimming pools opened around town, such as the Malone Pool on North Main and wading pools in Sea Isle, Marquette, Forest, and other parks. In the 1960s, most of these places closed, but Geisman Park and a few other public pools continued to make a splash. Then there was Maywood, just outside of town. In 1931, Maurice Woodson scooped out a huge lake near Olive Branch, Mississippi, tapped into ice-cold springs, and named his new resort after his wife, May. The beach within reach drew crowds with its Florida sand, not just around the edges of the pool, but on the bottom too, like in the ocean. It had picnic grounds, a diving platform, slides and swings, a snack pavilion, even an outdoor bowling alley. Is there anyone in Memphis who didn't visit Maywood at least once and try to cap those powerful jets of water with their hands? It remained a wonderful, unique attraction for almost 70 years. But in 2003, the owners drained the pool and built houses on the land. When they work in their gardens, I wonder if the new homeowners ever wonder, where does all this sand keep coming from? For those of us lucky enough to own houseboats, ski boats, racing boats, and rowboats like the Lauderdales, there was no place like McKellar Lake. McKellar was home port to grand yachts, like the one that belonged to radio and TV pioneer Hoyt B. Wooten. It was called El Baroda, which is adorable spelled backwards. And on a somewhat smaller scale, there was the Lady Lauderdale herself. The allure of McKellar Lake has diminished over the years, but at one time it was so popular that local beauties competed for the coveted title of Miss McKellar Lake. I remember Mother always wore her sash with pride, even to church. Finally, one way to beat the heat was the easiest of all. Just sit on the curb and wait for the Merrymobile to bring ice cream treats right to your front door. My favorite was something called a buried treasure. But let me dispel a silly rumor right here. The name of this tasty treat was not inspired by the Lauderdale fortune.